Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and this is week 2 of Diamonds Unbreakable. Holy shit! They're doing these chapters so much justice. I'm really excited about this, especially because opening and ending, we got them in this episode. Really excited, but since we have a lot to cover, let me just go through the main points quickly. Same deal with every video that I make. First part of the video, small introduction, small review. Last part of the video is going to be spoiler area, just so you know. So this episode, we start off basically with Angelo, the murderer that we were introduced to last episode, and he's delivering milk to the Higashikata family. Just like keeping an eye on the house, looking at them, basically inspecting his victims. He talks about the mom a little bit, and this is where we get introduced to Aqua Necklace, his stance. I'm not that crazy about it, to be honest, since we already got a similar stand, a stand that has similar abilities to it. In part 3, of course, I'm talking about it. Endul, if I'm not mistaken, that was his name. But what happens? He steps on some dog shit, literally. Then the mom, she comments on it a little bit. He gets pissed off, him being a psychopath, murderer. He gets his little inner monologue. And as he's walking away from the house, he notices the dog owner with its dog, the one who probably left the shit over there. And he straight up just goes there. And this is like a fucking shocking scene. He straight up goes to the dog. He fucking bites the dog's nose off. He then grabs the owner. He opens his mouth and fucking spits all that blood in him. Graphical, yes. Censored to a degree. I'm glad it didn't get as censored as Terraform Mars's bullshit. But you still knew what was going on. And this is kind of where we also get a little bit more explanation on Aqua Necklace's ability, which is it can flow through liquid or anything that is like liquid and steam, anything that has been liquid in the past. And this is where we transition over to Jotaro. He's giving Josuke a call, telling him like watch out for his ability. And we get a little bit more introduction to Aqua Necklace's power, and Jotaro basically telling Josuke to don't drink any tap water, don't eat anything just in case. But by then it's too late. Aqua Necklace has already gone through the sewers, gone through the tap water, and Josuke's mom happened to drink some water. She sips it. Josuke turns around. He sees Aqua Necklace coming a little bit out of her mouth, and he, of course, is shocked as fuck, because how is he gonna do this? Well, this is where we get introduced to Josuke's fighting style, and that is being unpredictable, crazy, I would say, over the top. He does something similar that he did to the thief slash the guy who took the hostage in the last episode. He grabs a bottle, he fucking breaks it with Crazy Diamond, his stand. He goes through the mother, takes the bottle out. At the same time, he takes the stand and he traps it in the bottle. Which is, when I read it in the manga, it was like, holy fuck, he's like, Araki is getting creative with his battle techniques. Then he calls Jotaro back up and he tells him listen, I caught the stand, we're good. Josuke's grandfather comes in. We get this little bit of dialogue between them. Not really that important. But one thing that does happen that's really important right now is that Angelo notices and recognizes the grandfather, because apparently the grandfather, him being a police officer, arrested Angelo in the past when he was 12. So he has another reason to come after Josuke now, and he uses the bottle that Josuke used to entrap his stand, and somehow manages to turn himself into brandy, because he knows, for some fucking reason, he knows that the officer has this tendency of, after every shift, to take a shot of brandy. The grandfather drinks it, of course. Josuke is talking to Jotaro. He turns around. Grandfather died, Uncle Ben style. Um, Jotaro arrives at the scene, and Josuke tries to use his crazy diamond to try and revive him. That doesn't work. And this is where we get a little bit of another interesting fact about stands, from Jotaro, and that is that stands cannot bring people back to life. So if any of Josuke's friends were to die, he would not be able to revive them. Josuke's stance can only bring things to their normal state, or people to their normal state, but souls is not one of those. Jojo also makes this really important comment, and I don't know if it gets brought back in the future or not, but because in the manga at least it felt more powerful in my opinion, and that is when he says something about Josuke's stand, and about Josuke having the most scaring stand, even though it's a pretty destructive one. It's one with, I think that's how it worded. Your stand, or you are a very caring person, so deep inside, and that's kind of beautiful in a way, because Josuke has a really destructive stand. As we notice, it is physically stronger than Star Platinum, but at the same time, it's one that is used for the good. Then we transition over to basically the funeral of the grandfather. And it's not really a funeral, it's more like a talk about it. They look at the grandfather's stuff and saying how no one's ever going to wear these anymore. Eventually they're going to have to get disposed. And it's a prep. This is all a prep for what is to become the Josuke Jotaro versus Angelo fight. And something that we also get mentioned by Josuke is that he brought the mother away just because he wanted to make sure she was safe. She's with the family. And they are going to wait for Angelo to come at them. We get a transition to 3 days later, because Angelo is waiting for something, and that something was for it to rain in Morio, and the rain, of course, being an easy way for him to get through the house. Before I forget, Jotaro also tried to make some preparations. He tried, they talked about getting water that was in bottles, like nothing that came through the sewers or nothing that came through an opening from the outside. It had to all have already been sealed, and despite that, they did not count on rain to be an issue. Now the fight gets a little bit, in my opinion, it's not dragged on, but a lot happens. The main points is Angelo can move through steam as well. So what he ends up doing is, through the rain, he ends up tapping into the water circuit of the house, and he turns things on, like the hot water. He turns that on. He starts creating vapor, so that the vapor that the Josuke or Jotaro inhale, then he can use that to control them and kill them from the inside. What he does not count on is the fact that Josuke took some preparations, and that is by slicking a glove in. Okay, so when he inhales the steam, he traps Aqua Necklace in a plastic glove. Sure. So after he gets trapped, he starts shaking the glove, because, as we all know by now, stands and their users are all connected, so they feel the same thing. So he starts shaking the glove, and they find out approximately around which area that Angelo is situated, and they start chasing him. The moment that Angelo ran towards that rock, I knew what was gonna happen. Manga readers know what's up. Josuke basically merges Angelo with the rock. That way he doesn't kill him, and he still works by the law in a way. And that's something that really is important about Josuke's character. He's not a killer, nor will he be. Spoiler alert. Um, and that's basically the whole episode. That's where it ends. I kind of fucking laughed when when they gave that little intro, like transition to, this is one of Morio's landmarks, the Angelo Rock. I'm like, oh my fucking god. So back to the 3 points of this episode that I like to talk about: animation, pacing, and value to the overall plot. Animation still on point, still friggin' beautiful. I absolutely loved it. Um, I found so many less frames that bugged me, because last episode there were a couple of those still shots, that still frames that, like, I was like, it's drawn a little bit lazily, but this completely better, so much better, everything. I love the transition that they, not the effect that they give Crazy Diamond when he's coming out of Josuke's body. They now gave him, and I don't know if it was in the first episode, so apologies for that, but like, he has this diamond texture to him when he's still in his spirit form before he solidifies, which is really cool. I love that. Pacing is, for those of you anime only viewers, it's important to know that these two episodes covered 77 chapters. No, wait, not 77 chapters. What am I saying? Bullshit. 77 pages worth of material. Excuse me. And it didn't feel too rushed. The only issue that I had regarding the pacing would have been the death of the grandfather. I felt that it had a little bit more impact in the manga than it did in the anime. If right now it didn't feel as strong, as emotional, maybe through the lack of music during the scene, but it felt like, oh, it happened, let's move on. Now, the value to the overall plot, however, this is something where this episode did a good thing. These two episodes did a good thing in introducing the overall story for it, because it sets up like Josuke's ability, some of the main characters. We also, in this episode, we get Josuke's reason for fighting. His grandfather passing away, similar to Uncle Ben to Spider-Man, but we also get a justification that, oh, his grandfather cared a lot about the city. He wanted to protect it. He was a police officer. I will take that responsibility upon myself. So another thing that we get regarding Josuke is his style of fighting, which we already were introduced to in the first episode, which is being reckless, like not giving a fuck as long as he gets shit done. We have that here as well when for example, the scene with the mother, that is already one example. The next one would be the Angelo conclusion, which is the steam going in through his mouth and him having put a frigging rubber glove in his throat in order to trap him. That's something a little bit unpredictable and in a way also reckless. If you look at the previous JoJo's, Jonathan, Joseph, and Jotaro, they all had these strategic ways of dealing with their enemies, but this is where I feel like Araki got a little bit more creative and at the same time more bizarre with methods of concluding the fights, which is by my part interesting, really interesting. We also get the information in this episode that, of course, stance can bring people back to life, and also during the conversation with between Jotaro and Josuke before they encounter Angelo in the house, Jotaro brings up like, hey, that scar that I gave you from that fight we had, why didn't you heal it yourself? And we also therefore get informed that Josuke cannot heal himself, so any damage done to him, he's fucked. Now, this is the part where I'm going to go into the more spoilery area of my review, of my overview. And so, if you don't want to listen to this, I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. We are good. Okay, I'm going to keep this short because there's not like the real discussion comes later. The first thing I want to talk about, that this is of course not the Angelo conclusion. There is a little bit that's going to happen, which I almost forgot about it until I went back and reread it. And that is because we still need to get the explanation as to how Angelo got his stance. which is going to be, of course, the Nijimura brothers, and that's going to be episode 3, which we already saw the title card for. What's also interesting is that we already walked past where this is going to take place, and that is throughout the episode when Koichi, we get a little bit of a Koichi in the episode, and he's talking to himself, saying like, hey, maybe like Josuke doesn't want to talk with anyone right now, so it's better to leave him alone. And as he's walking back on the right side, you see the Nijimura house, which is, in my opinion, they're doing a great thing by keeping like the locations recognizable for everyone, that because Morio is a small town, so I feel that we're going to see this throughout this entire season. We're going to see constantly like, oh, there's this building that this happened, or there's this place that this happened. So I like that a lot. A minor setback I would say about this is just that about this whole episode and this character of Angelo, I would say it's just like I mentioned in the last overview, is that Angelo felt like a villain of the week, and this part has a good amount of villains that feel like that. Even villains that feel like they have some importance, they sometimes don't, which is unfortunate for Diamond is Unbreakable. Until we get introduced to Kira, and that's going to be a while from now. So Angelo being that villain of the week shit, like, not too crazy about it, although I will say that I did enjoy so much more how they handled him in these past 2 episodes than they did in the manga. And I guess the biggest fucking plot hole that I would call out for this entire I guess it would be for the entirety of part 4 would be Jotaro's time stop. He was in the house, he could have used time stop. He knows how to counter Angelo. He should be carrying a plastic bag or something. Use time stop to freeze Aqua Necklace and trap him. That's possibly the biggest plot hole that I can see. Get used to it, anime viewers, if you decided to continue watching for some fucking reason. But yeah, otherwise, beautiful episode. Cannot wait to see the next week, because we will get introduced to my second favorite character of this. Well, I guess third, if you count Jotaro. Yeah, third favorite character of this series, Nijimura Okuyasu. My God, looking forward to it. If you have anything that I missed, or if you want to talk about anything that I missed in this review, just feel free to like put it down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, comment anything you want. Well, anything relatable that relates to this episode or this overview. My name is DLPOV. Thank you for watching.